Good evening, students. Welcome to Level Up IAS Interview Mentorship Program. Today, we have a very special guest, Sri GHP Raju, with us. He is an IPS officer of 1993 batch with a long-standing experience of serving in Northeast India. He is presently serving as a Principal Secretary to the government of Meghalaya. Today, he will be sharing his perspective with the candidates on how to prepare for the civil services personality test. Aspirants will also get an opportunity to ask him questions and resolve their doubts. So with this, I request Sri GHP Raju sir to start the session.
Yeah, how is my audio, please? Good evening to all of you.
Yes, your audio is very clear, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm GHP Raju, 1993 batch IPS officer, born on Assam, Meghalaya, Kada. After serving nearly 27 years in this state, now I got the opportunity to work as a principal secretary to the government of Meghalaya. I'm handling animal husbandry and veterinary department, the labor department, and the cooperation department. You must be wondering how a police officer handle a civilian departments, leaving aside the policing. In fact, once you get into the service, you will know and you will experience the what you call the scope of the opportunities this service, the All India Services, offers to each one of us, irrespective of your service. It is basically your approach to the service, your approach to your personal life and your family life, and your approach to the poorest of the poor segments of the society. These are the key parameters which are constantly monitored, observed, noticed by the powers that be, both by your seniors and by the juniors. We are under the constant observation by all, by the politicians, by the public, by the NGOs, by the media. Once you get into the service, you will experience all from the day one. So I congratulate you all for getting selected for the interview now. And I want to be very blunt and forthright with you all. If you want to listen to the truth and nothing but truth when it comes to the personality test, are you honest with yourself? That is my first question. How do I know that you are honest with yourself? There has to be question and answer sessions. You will be asked questions, and your answers, it indicates, number one, the knowledge, the factual information which you know. That is one dimension. This dimension is already tested in the mains examination. But while you are responding to the questions, you are knowingly, unknowingly showing your personality. The board members are interested in not in the knowledge, in the way you conduct yourself. The way you reveal your personality will be evaluated. We all know very well that in the mains examination for 250 marks, we are given 180 minutes. That is a 3 hours exam, right? But here, 275 marks, on an average, each candidate gets around 30 minutes. Imagine, mark 30 minutes. In the 30 minutes, the members will assess you objectively, your personality. So it's all in our hands to show our personality truthfully, honestly before the board members. If any candidate has any doubt about the knowledge, about the knowing or not knowing a particular answer to a particular question, be forthright, be honest with that. I don't know the answer. I can tell you that not knowing the answer is not negative. I repeat, it's not expected that you know the answer to each and every question put to the candidate. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. The members are not that unwise. They are very, very wise people. The more the number of questions you pass on, you simply say that, sir, I don't know the answer. Madam, I don't know the answer. Means what? You are honest with yourself. offering the opportunity to other members to put more questions so that you reveal your personality. You don't hide anything. If I don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. Don't try to guess the answer, especially when it comes to a factual information. There are two types of information. One is fact-based information. Second one is the opinion-based information. They always ask you, in your opinion, why there was so much of agitation against the two enactments by the parliament about the farmers, the CAA, and why? In your opinion, that's not the factual information they are asking. Means what? Are you observant about the rationale of the agitators against the farm laws? It's not the pure, the government of India has enacted these laws, the CAA laws on by the parliament, assented by, that is a factual information. The board is not interested in the factual information anymore. The board is interested in knowing, have you observed? Have you observed? Not have you studied. There are two fundamental difference between studying about a particular thing and observing the happening about a particular thing. Now, this is the time to observe what is happening around, not to become a bookworm, more and more information, more and more lectures, more and more theoretical information. You will end up confused yourself before the board. They will easily make out whether this candidate is theoretical or observant. Once you become observant, I repeat, observant. How do I'll give you a simple example. How many of you honestly read about the controversial clauses, the alleged controversial clauses in the two farm laws? I'm very sure most of you. How many of you honestly watched the news channels or the YouTube channels about the agitations that carried out and the arguments put forth by them? Have you made a note of their arguments? Have you analyzed how logical they are, or are they political? Just because the democracy allows you to come onto the streets to demonstrate, it does not mean that you become unreasonable. Your answer should be very mature, very observance based. I'll give you a simple example. How do I, if I am preparing for this examination, for now interview, how do I prepare for this? The most sensitive and the highly debated issue called the farmers issue, farmers agitation. How do you? Will you justify the farm laws, the enactment by the parliament? Yes, of course it is the law of the land. Why then there is so much of agitation? Is there any link between the government's amendment to the farm laws and the government's commitment in the year 2019, doubling the farmers' income? I hope you are getting my point. The government has announced on the floor of the parliament that there is a plan of action to double the farmers' income by 2024. Is there any logical link or correlation between the statement of the government and the amendments made to the farm bills? Have you analyzed on those lines? I'm not asking you theoretical analysis. Common sensically, if you know why the government of India has declared that the farmers' income will be doubled by 2024. Once the declaration is made, there has to be a series of actions. One of the actions is the farm laws amendment. Why the formula has to be amended? Have you analyzed that? One reason, to my understanding, is once you take the basket of the activities of a farmer, he produces, for example, gehu or rice. There is an input cost for the produce. After that, he packages it. Then some transporter will come. He transports the produce to the market yard. Means production cost coupled with production cost include labor cost. Here, production cost is the input cost, like the seeds, fertilizers, and the own labor, and the other agriculture labors is the input cost. Next is from the farm up to the market yard, the transportation. second dimension. The third dimension is you store them in the market yards. That means entry fees, the market says, then the agent. From there, from the market yard, it goes to the wholesaler. The wholesaler sends it to the retailer. The retailer sells it to the consumer. At each node, there is a charge levied. Now, we'll analyze each stage how much is the charge levied. Number one, at the farm place, except the labor and the input cost. Next, the cost goes up because of the transportation costs. As the petrol prices goes up, the diesel prices goes up, the transportation cost goes up. Next, what is the next? From there, the moment it goes to the go down, you have to pay the go down price of per quintal roughly around 1%, 2%. The farmer has to bear the transportation cost. The farmer has to bear the loading, unloading cost. There, the malis, basically the laborers who helps in the unloading of the. Now from there, it goes where? For the storage. The go down, that is the market yard, levies the charge. What is the charge here? You take the transportation cost around 12% of the cost. The market yard costs roughly around 13 to 14%, including hamali, including a market yard cess, including the storage cost, all is borne by the farmer. From there, again, so here, if you look at the so many aspects of the farm produce, everywhere the expenditure incurred is borne by the farmer. Now, what the farm laws did, you need not take it to the market yard. You can sell it straight away from your farm. What are the benefits by this amendment? Number one is the transportation cost is zero. The second one is the cess or the market yard charges levied. The coolie paid by the farmer. Now it's all income to the farmer. What is the wrong in bringing about some changes in the farm laws, the farm acts, to ensure that this middleman is eliminated? The freedom is given to the producer, the farmer. Why there is so much of hesitation against these farm laws? It's a more commonsensical understanding. If you develop this perspective of taking up a theoretical input, observing what is happening around in the society, then arriving at your own opinion, whether it is good or bad, the board is interested in knowing your opinion only about the various. This opinion formed only by observing what is happening around. India-China relationships. We all know what is happening at the Doklam Pass and all those things we all know. That is a factual information. In your view and opinion, why China is again and again poking its finger at that point? In this time, the time context and the place, have you observed that? It's not a theoretical information. It is your observation. It comes only when you take up a topic and surf the YouTube, not the textbooks, no more textbooks. So there are so many YouTube channels which are giving excellent, insightful analysis on each and every topic. I touch upon one more, the final, before I open up. These are examples just to prod you, just to motivate you, just to guide you on how to prepare for the interview. I can tell you very frankly, no one guided me. I did not prepare on those lines. That's why I ended up securing only 50%. That time the interview marks were 250. I scored 125 marks out of that is Asgar Samun board. I was preparing more and more textbooks, more and more theoretical inputs. Perhaps that did not inspire the board to give me more than 50% of marks in my interview. So why I'm prodding you, I'm motivating you on this point is because your generation has tremendous reach to the digital media. The more you spend, list out the 5-6 topics. I'll list out another topic now for your benefit. That is migrant laborers. The Honorable Supreme Court of India, various state governments, there was so much of there's so much of mechanism, there is so many dynamics to the issue of the migrant laborers. What was the critical problem identified in the migrant laborers? Especially 2020, the COVID-1. COVID-2 is a different matter. COVID-1, nearly how many? Almost 3 to 4 crores migrant laborers got stranded. Why? Most of the state government, they didn't know how many of their citizens migrated to other states because there was no structural mechanism in place in any of the states in India. How many of my citizens or my state people are migrating to other states? There is no platform to register the migrant laborers either into my state or by the state which is sending, the origin station or the destination, the state. I take a classic example of Meghalaya. When suddenly lockdown enforced in the month of May last year, the Meghalaya government has announced how many Meghalayats are working as a migrant laborers in other states. Can you imagine 2.33 lakh, the people, they are called, they said that we are migrant laborers. They all came back to Meghalaya. Neither the Meghalaya government has a forum, a platform to list, to identify those who are leaving Meghalaya state to other states in search of the livelihood, nor the people who went to the, some went to Maharashtra, some went to Tamil Nadu, some went to UP, some went to Delhi. Neither the Delhi government nor the UP government had any system in place to identify and enlist the migrant laborers into the state from Meghalaya. Many of the migrant laborers from Meghalaya northeast went to Tamil Nadu to work in the handloom industries, the textile industries. Neither the Tamil Nadu government has a mechanism in place to list the migrant laborers from other states, nor these northeastern states have mechanism in place to list the people who migrated from the native place to other districts. This is the huge revelation because of the COVID, that there was no system in place to enlist the inbound migrants or outbound migrants. When it comes to the 2021, with the intervention of the Supreme Court, with the intervention of the Government of India, the Labor Department, there was now a system in place that any laborer from this state is going to other state has to register with his native in situ state. And where he is going to the destination state, he has to mention. The destination state has created a system. That's why when it comes to the pandemic 2, some states, they already have the data with them, how many are other than the natives came as the migrant laborers. Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, for example. These states already have a mechanism in place. So now, when it comes to the migrant laborers, the biggest challenge is the lack of authentic data. Now, one more thing is, I'm a laborer from Meghalaya. I have my PDS ration card here. I go to Tamil Nadu. Is my ration card is validated or valid in Tamil Nadu? No. The Tamil Nadu local district collector says that you are not from our state. It is not valid. To address this issue, the Government of India is introducing the concept called One Nation, One Ration Card. So imagine how a situation developed because of the pandemic has resulted in creating the series of systems for the benefit of the laborers. Yeah. So now my request to the candidates is stop collecting theoretical information from all sources. No, such not. You have to take up one topic which of your liking and start viewing the news channels about that topic. Don't go by the other's opinion. You have to have your own opinion. There is one question, how to answer controversial questions. Can you give an example? What is a controversial question? Please list out one controversial question, which as an example for purpose of discussion. What is the controversial question? On what parameters board gives marks? Okay. The board gives marks on 2 to 3 parameters. Is the candidate honest with himself or herself? First point. The second point, is the candidate trying to pay attention to the question asked, or he or she suddenly answering questions without fully listening to the question? These are all the signs and symptoms of your personality. Your attentiveness, in fact, your confidence. How do I know the confidence? When I faced the interview, that time, when I faced the interview, there was a notebook. There was a notebook, a scribbling pad and a pencil kept there. It is where I sat. Then I realized that the candidate is free to make a note of the question asked. You are not in a hurry to answer it. You are not anxious to answer the question without actually understanding the question. Please mark the difference. You will take a couple of seconds time to marshal your thoughts before answering. So the parameters the board takes into account your confidence, your clear diction, the clarity of your word, the sentences which you used is an indication of your clear head. If you are mumbling, fumbling, and wishy-washy, round the bush answers, abstract, grand statements, indicates confused state of mind. Never give a grand states of the statements. Grand statements, I'll give you simple. Corruption eating into the core of the nation is a grand statement. It is of no use to the board member unless you validate your answer by giving examples. What is the core of the nation you are referring to? The limited resources available for the developmental schemes is the core of the nation. We don't have unlimited resources. We have limited. The resources at the disposal of the government are limited. If the government servant or a politician indulges in embezzlement of these limited resources, that means a majority of the beneficiaries who are supposed to receive the benefits are denied these benefits because of the corruption. So here, corruption eats into the core of the nation. Means what? You have to validate your grand statement with clear examples. It's an indication that the board come to the conclusion that you have a clear head. Whoever is rated as having a clear headed with the simple terms will get 70% of marks. Rest assured. Where there is a confusion, there is a wavering, there is a dilemma, the marks comes down 60%, 50% like that. So next is controversial topics such as the Kumbh Mela. Yeah, exactly. Now you have to look at the instructions issued by the government, the district administration vis-a-vis conduct of the Kumbh Mela. Now, what were the instructions? Have you gone through the YouTube channels covering the Kumbh Mela where the COVID-related mechanism is in place or not? The testing, the segregation, the containment, all these measures are as per the COVID protocol are in place or not. If they are created and in place, were they managed by the competent persons, adequate number of persons, and adequate equipment is there, trained manpower is available? If all these taken care, then what is the controversy there? I don't understand. The controversy is basically about failure to take the adequate precautions, adequate mechanism in place. When a huge gathering is happening, is anticipated, adequate COVID-related preventive as well as containment measures are taken. If the measures are there, there is no controversy, except the political opponents take an issue out of it. But if it is other than as an administrative point of view, if the measurements, if the measures are in place, there is no controversy. Whatever the controversy created is created based on the political affiliations, that's all, not on factual information. I get stressed during the interview, how to improve? Okay, now the question of stress while facing the interview is because you are in the habit of memorizing the answers which you are prepared. Whoever has the habit of memorizing the questions invariably end up stressed out. I repeat, if you are in the habit of mugging up, memorizing the answers for the topics which you have covered, I'm afraid you will end up the stress mounted. You will be under self-created stress because of the burden you try to memorize the factual information. Please don't memorize. The more you spend time on a topic and surfing the YouTube and taking the relevant YouTube objective presentations, there are some excellent channels. For example, I'll give, that is FAX is a channel that is a very objective 8 to 10 minutes of the videos which they touch upon every controversy that crop up. It's a visual in nature, commonsensical, that is the best suited for interview preparation. When it comes to the stress, I repeat again, I advise you not to try to mug up or memorize the information. That will not help you in the interview, because under the 20 to 25 minutes, you will be under extreme stress because you anticipate a question. Once you anticipate a question, you try to recollect the answer, which will not happen. More than 90% of the questions and answers are opinionated, opinion-based, because only a clear-headed person have very convincing opinion. I repeat, the clearer you become a particular topic, the clearer you will not come under stress. You will argue with the board if you are convinced of the merit of your argument. I'll give you one example where one candidate, the interview phase, maybe 2007 batch, he got 44 marks in the interview. You know why? Out of 250, he got 44. The board chairman declared that, Mr., I'm not going to select you. This candidate laughed. The interview went on for nearly 1.5 hours. That was the longest, the interview. I don't know that this candidate was from JNU. He did his master's in the history. The interview was on the history about why it took 1.5 hours. The board members, including the chairman, got shocked of his in-depth understanding of the history subject. His scholarly knowledge, his interpretation of the Gandhian approach to the relevancy, this is unbelievable. The chairman told that, Mr., I don't want to select you because if you get into the civil services, you will never be able to grow and focus on the Indian history, the knowledge which you have received. I want you to enter into the academics, become a historian. That is beneficial for the nation. That's why he got the 44 marks. But this guy got into IPS and he got his home cadre Kerala. He's there. You can talk to him. 2007 batch. I don't want to name him. Because he's so clear-headed, the member got so fascinated, they don't want to select him. Because they want him to be a historian, a famous historian in days to come. But despite they giving the least marks, he got into this. Question number 4 is, marks given in interview depends upon the interview board panel or completely based on the merits. It all depends upon your own competence, your own clear head. The board is absolutely independent. Whether it is 6 boards, 7 boards, absolutely independent. They're objective, they're transparent. Your competence, your capacity, your analysis, your opinion, have opinion, please. I encourage you. See, when it comes to the mains examination, you have to have the factual information. When it comes to the interview, you will be tested your personality for about 30 minutes for 275 marks. Opinion are the best platform to understand your personality. The more opinions you have about the topics based on factual, it's not a fool-headed opinion. Absolutely not. It is a reasoned opinion based on observation, of what is happening around on a particular topic, and you form your own opinion based on the factual information. The more clear-headed you are, the very forceful opinion you will be able to convince the board members. That gives you mark, your merit, your personality. Here, merit means your personality gives you mark. Question number 5, how much one has to prepare for an optional subject? Absolutely not. Only I heard, like my main subject was the master's in geology. My optional subject was also geology. I did not prepare anything. I opted the sociology as my second optional. I was very apprehensive that they might put some questions on sociology because it was not my mother's subject. It was not my, parent's subject. So here, if your optional subject is not your parent subject, either in graduation, post-graduation, and if there is recent developments in those subjects, then you are expected to prepare. For example, especially those who are taken engineering subjects, electronics, communication, especially the computers, there is a tremendous explosion of the information in the digital era. So these candidates are expected to know the recent developments, especially when it comes to the engineering. Otherwise, no. Suppose you are aeronautical engineering. If there is a sudden, any development in the space technology, SpaceX, and it's in the news 1 or 2 days before your interview date, you are expected to know more about. Basically, they become curious. The board member they are curious. They're expected you with your technical background in the same area, aeronautical engineering. They expect you to know more. That's all. If you cut a sorry figure there, that creates a negative impression about you. I don't know how to give balanced answer. Okay, in mock interview, I was given feedback that my answers were negative, reactive, but not responding. Please suggest how to improve. Okay, now here, cultivate one habit of from now onwards. Even if with the mock interviews, you take 1 or 2 extra mock interviews to cultivate this habit. Have a pen and paper in front of you and try to write down the important point in the question asked by a member. Take that much, exercise that much of your freedom. Take a pen and paper, sir. Permit me, just I want to note down. He simply says that, right? What do you call this? Corona, the vaccine diplomacy. What's your view on the vaccine diplomacy? You simply say that the diplomacy and the vaccine. I'm writing down the critical important. How each nation now coming up with its own regulations to allow foreigners to enter, depending upon the type of vaccine they were administered. It's a business interest. Each country has huge investment into various vaccines, COVID vaccines. So it is but natural for each country to see that maximum number of people takes their own vaccine. If you have not taken that vaccine, I won't allow you into the access into my country. So this is vaccine diplomacy. It is unjust. It is unfair trade practices. It is the role of the World Health Organization to give guidelines which are binding on all the nations. That a particular vaccine approved by the World Health Organization, it is binding on all the countries to accept the entry or exit of the person administered with that vaccine. So I've taken an off-cuff example. So please cultivate the habit of in the mock interviews, ask the board member, you please note down, write the question, not verbatim, the critical point of that. I can assure you that gives you confidence. Try this trick. You have to come up with these small little tricks. This candidate is making his own questions, writing down, excellent. That few seconds because to write the particular word, the vaccine diplomacy, that's the question, vaccine diplomacy, that few seconds, you get back your composing. You will not be reactive. You are not responding without applying your mind to the question. So this application of your mind to the question asked happens when you take that few seconds to write your answer. Please try. Please try. I can assure you that the writing will help you in overcoming this responding quickly without understanding the question. Try this one. Current affairs, no, except those to your liking. Frankly, I can tell you, identify 10 topics. It all depends upon if there is any topic which has caught the imagination of your state, or which is in the news because of the controversy. Be prepared for that just before the interview. Otherwise, now you select one or two topics, you become a lecturer in this particular topic. You keep taking lessons in that particular topic. You select very few topics, and almost extempore, you should be in a position to speak for about 20 minutes about the topic. Practice that one. Select few topics, not many, because your interview date, the 24 hours prior to the date, what are all the developments that clinches your interview? Whether you current affairs means only that much. Not now, absolutely not. But whatever the governments of India, the major announcements. Now is the COVID, second one is the migrant laborers, the third one is the Supreme Court's directives. What are all the major Supreme Court findings or judgments on the controversial cases? Please, you are expected to. That helps you. Otherwise, current affairs on a day-to-day basis is not the mains examination, it's not for the prelims. 48 hours before your day of interview, whatever is in the news, be thorough with that. That much of current affairs is more than sufficient. Yeah. I hope I'm adequate. I don't want to lecture you much. So I take leave from you, Mr. Dhananjay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My email address is small, very, very simple thing, small letters, ipsraju@gmail.com. My service and my name, Raju. And you through Mr. Dhananjay or through, you can contact me. And to the best of my ability, I'll be able to respond to your queries. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and sharing your perspective on how to appear in the interview. Thank you so much once again, sir, for giving your time. Thank you.
There is one question one gentleman has, what about the home state? Home state, okay. Basically, every mock interview, every institution asks you to prepare about your mains application. If your state domicile, your district, if there is any unique historical thing, this is all routine thing. I don't want to waste my time on touching upon, you already covered it. About your home state, it is expected. If there is, when I was giving the interview, I was from Vijayawada, the current Andhra Pradesh, the Amaravati nearby. They suddenly asked me, there is something in Vijayawada which is not there in your state capital, Hyderabad. Can you tell? I said that, sir, it's a lake, I asked. Hyderabad has the very historic tank bund. Whereas, no, it's not the lake. They said that, sir, then have you heard about the NTPC? There is a thermal power plant. Sir, Ibrahim, but a thermal power plant. Yes, thermal power plant is there in Vijayawada. It is not there in Hyderabad. Thank you very much, sir. So they expect the candidate to know in and out about the state or the district, if there is any unique historical thing, because some member might have visited your place if it is historically significant place. Prepare for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Good night.